The UK covers are passed by many people in the Goosebumps community, whether it's for the really bad covers in the OG series or the lack of popularity in the UK for Goosebumps. They just didn't get as much love as the US. But today I'm going to be talking about the 7 books in the GYG series that I believe are some of the rarest Goosebumps books out there. So, you might be wondering, what are these 7 rare books? Well, these are the last 7 books in the GYG UK series. We only got 36 books in the UK series, and they changed the spine style and the cover style around book 18. Everything from there got a little bit more rare and harder to find, but these last 7 books are very difficult to find, and I'll be talking through why and how to get your hands on them. So let's just start with the first one in this rare series. This is Your Plant Food. Now, I believe these are rarer as they weren't printed as much as the US ones, and being the last ones and not being printed as much, they were much harder to find, so that is why you won't see as many. That is why they're more expensive. This book can go from anywhere from 100 to 160. Right now, the cheapest copy is going for £157, which is about $180 to $200. So, for these 2 books, I'm going to be grouping them together. For these 2, I believe they are not so much expensive when you find them, but just extremely, extremely difficult to find. So the 2 I'm going to be grouping together are going to be The Werewolf of Twisted Tree Lodge, as you can see here, and It Came from the Internet, as you can see here. Now, these books I've looked on sold on eBay, and Werewolf of Twisted Tree Lodge UK cover has never really sold on eBay. There's not really a UK cover that's been on eBay that I know of, but It Came from the Internet has been sold on eBay for around £18, but I believe the person who was selling it didn't know the value of this book, so I estimate it to be a lot more than that. So definitely look out for these 2. The Werewolf of Twisted Tree Lodge, I think personally, is the rarer out of the 2. I haven't really found any listings of this in the past. Maybe in the future we'll find some, but these 2 books are the ones that they're not really listed anywhere. So far we've talked about Your Plant Food, a very accessible book, but is very expensive if you want to get it. And we've also talked about less expensive books, but they are very, very difficult to find. Now, these 4 books here, Elevator to Nowhere, It's Only a Nightmare, Ship of Ghouls, and Hocus Pocus Horror, they are both of those combined. They are all very expensive and very, very difficult to find. So let's just start with Elevator to Nowhere. Right now, Elevator to Nowhere, a listing is going for around £70. Now, considering it's a Give Yourself Goosebumps book, in the UK especially, this is very expensive, and it's quite difficult to find. This is the only listing. Moving along to It's Only a Nightmare, this is a great example of how you can find some of these really rare books. So there are no listings currently. I have found previous listings going for upwards of 40 to 80, but I have been digging around for a bit, and I managed to find this listing on eBay that had sold. I'm not sure how long ago it was from, but it sold for this much, which is about £4. So what happens here is some book companies get used books in. They don't look up the price, they just want to get rid of them. So they label them really low because they just base them off of other Give Yourself Goosebumps books in the UK, which are not as much. So this is a really good example of how to get them for a cheap price. So Ship of Ghouls is a bit of a funny one for this series. The prices aren't really set at any definite price like the other ones. So this one is very difficult to find, There are currently 3 listings on eBay. I will show all 3 of them now. And they range the cheapest going from £80 to £250. So the price isn't set, but I could assume it's around 80 to 100. No one's paying 250 for this. But I managed to get my hands on this for around £4. Again, off one of those book websites in the UK that doesn't really look at the books they get. They just get them off a person and they want to sell them. Still just sell them as some of the other GYG books' price, even though it's not actually worth that. So this is a great way to get them. Very difficult book to find. The price isn't set though, so it can be debated on. Now for probably the most interesting book, in my opinion. This is the second from last book in the series, and this is very, very, very difficult to find. There is one listing on eBay right now for 80, but I've never seen a listing actually sell or like actually pop up before. So this is very really good that it's popped up on eBay. It's going for 80, which is quite a lot of money. And one has sold as well on eBay for £4 or around the £4 mark. I can't quite remember. But again, it's just one of those odd things where someone's accidentally sold it for a cheap price. But you only get that happening like once in the entirety of the thing. And then there's one listing for this. So this is probably the most interesting just because, again, along with the other ones, there's just always that odd one. But I just really like the cover to this, and it's just, I've never seen one pop up. So yeah. That is today's video done. I actually have 3 of these books: Ship of Ghouls, Your Plant Food, and The Wealth of Twisted Tree Lodge. I managed to find these for that rare occasion on the cheap price. Some of the ones I showed I had actually bought for a cheap price of one of those odd ones. I recommend you looking on Abe Books and Wilder Books and eBay, and you might find one cheaper, but they're very difficult to find for those cheap prices, but just keep a lookout, but it's highly unlikely. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This subject isn't talked about at all, so yeah, it's a unique little video, so thank you for watching.